Good morning, students. In last class, we discussed about the carrier transport. In this, we discussed the two types of methods. One is drift mechanism, and then one is diffusion mechanism. And generation of charge carriers. There are four types. Those are thermal excitation, photo excitation, impact ionization, and electrical excitation. Along with, we discussed about the recombination of carriers. In that, we discussed direct recombination, indirect recombination, Auger recombination, and surface recombination. Today we will discuss about the continuity equation, Hall effect, and applications of Hall effect, and how Hall coefficient varies in different types of materials. That means in metals and semiconductors. Firstly, we will discuss about the continuity equation. It gives the net rate of change in the carrier concentration in semiconductor sample if drift, diffusion, generation, and recombination rate occurring simultaneously. The fundamental law of governing the flow of charge is called continuity equation. The continuity equation, as applied to semiconductors, describes how the carrier concentration in a given elemental volume of the crystal varies with the time and distance. The variation in density is attributable to two basic causes. First one is the rate of generation and loss by recombination of carriers within the element. The second one is drift of carriers into or out of the element. The continuity equations enables us to calculate the excess density of electrons or holes in the time and space. So now we will consider a n-type semiconductor sample. Assume a thin size of sample having differential length or small length dx. So here I am showing n-type semiconductor sample. The thickness is very small and it is mentioned as dx. So the area of the sample is A, then its volume can be calculated A into dx, thickness into area. Yes. So Jn of x is the entering current density, Jn of x plus dx is the leaving current density. Sample conduction is due to free electrons. The net rate of change of electrons concentration in thin slice is calculated by the following ways. So when we are applying the electric field, external electric field to the n-type sample, how the concentration changes with respect to time and space in the n-type sample. So the rate at which electrons are falling into the slice. So the entering current density is at x, Jn of x, and leaving is Jn of x plus dx. So the rate at which electrons falling into the slice can be written as Jn of x plus dx by E into area A. The rate at which electrons are flowing out of this slice is Jn of x E into A. The rate at which electrons are generated in the slice is Gn into ADX. Here Gn is the generation rate. The rate at which electrons recombine in slice can be written as Rn into ADX. Here Rn is the recombination rate. Hence, change of electron concentration in the slice can be written as, that means dou n by dou t into a dx, the net rate of change of electrons in the slice. So it is nothing but dou n by dou t with respect to time in the volume. So we can write it is dou n by dou t into a into dx. So here the net rate can be written as equation 1 minus equation 2 plus equation 3 minus 4. So here in the previous slide, the first net rate at which electrons are flowing into the slice, so it is plus the net rate at which electrons are flowing out, it is minus the the rate at which electrons are generated in the slice, it is plus the rate at which electrons recombine in the slice are minus. It can be written as equation 1 minus entering are plus and leaving are minus. So dou n by dou t into a dx equals to j n of x plus dx by e into a minus j n of x by e into a plus gn into a dx minus rn into a dx. So entering into this slice can be written as jn of x plus dx by e into a, leaving is jn of x by e into a. Generation is again addition. So adding or entering or generating the electrons in the slice, it is gn into adx. Recombination is nothing but disappearing or decreasing the carriers, it is nothing but minus rn of adx. So from that we can write dou n by dou t into dx by cancelling the area a in all the terms. Dou n by dou t into dx can be written as 1 by e is common. Now it is jn of x plus dx minus jn of x plus jn of dx gn into dx minus rn into dx. Using the Taylor series, we can write jn of x plus dx can be written as jn of x plus dou jn by dou x into dx. So we are substituting this one jn of x plus dx. Now dou n by dou t into dx can be written as 1 by e into jn of x plus dou jn by dou x into dx minus jn of x plus gn into dx minus rn into dx. Now we are taking the common 1 by, we are multiplying the 1 by e into inside the bracket. Now it is 1 by e dou jn by dou x into dx, and this jn of x and jn of x minus jn of x will be cancelled. So we have written 1 by e dou jn by dou x into dx plus gn into dx minus rn dx. So this dx will be cancelled from the both sides. Now we can write dou n by dou t, the rate of change of electrons with respect to time. Dou n by dou t can be written as 1 by e dou jn by dou x plus gn minus rn. This equation is called continuity equation for the n-type semiconductor. Similarly, we can write the continuity equation for p-type semiconductor. Dou p by dou t is 1 by e dou jp by dou x plus gp minus rp. The suffix p indicates the holes or p-type semiconductor. Next, carrier velocity saturation. In a semiconductor, drift velocity of free electrons and holes is given by, we already know the velocity of the electrons and holes, Vn equals to mobility into electric field. Vp is the velocity of holes, it is mobility of the holes into electric field. If electric field is less than 1000 volt per centimeter, then mobility remains constant. When the electric field is less than 1000 volt, the mobility remains constant. Hence, velocity increases linearly with electric field. When electric field exceeds that means more than the 1000 volt per centimeter, mobility starts decreasing, because at higher fields, carrier travels at high velocities, and hence their collisions with lattice atoms and with other carriers will increase. Due to this, mobility decreases. So when you are increasing the more than 1000 volt per centimeter, the charge carriers will travel with high velocities. When the carriers are traveling with the high velocities, then what happens? So they may collide with the lattice atoms, with other carriers, then carriers will increase. Due to this, mobility decrease. So up to 1000 volt per centimeter, when you are applying the electric field up to 1000 volt per centimeter, mobility remains constant. When you are increasing the more, then what happens? Mobility decreases because of collision with the lattice of the atoms. So the relationship between the mobility and electric field, mobility is always inversely proportional to the electric field, and velocity is also inversely proportional to the electric field. That means electric field increases, velocity decreases. Therefore, the velocity increases sublinearly if electric field exceeds 10,000 volt per centimeter. Then mobility inversely proportional to the 1 by E. Hence, velocity becomes constant. This is called velocity saturation. So up to 1000 volt, it is mobility is constant. So velocity increases linearly with electric field. So up to 1000 volt per centimeter only, electric field and velocity both are linearly increases. When we are increasing more than 10,000 volt per centimeter, the velocity becomes constant because the charge carriers may collision with the lattice atoms. The mobility decreases. So velocity becomes constant. This constant velocity is called velocity saturation. So at 10 power 4, that means 10,000 volt per centimeter, the carrier velocity for electrons saturates. So the velocity of electrons will 10 power 7 centimeter per second. For holes, it saturates at 18 to 10 power 6 centimeter per second. So you can observe the graph of the electrons and holes, electric field versus drift velocity. So from that we can say that electron velocity is more compared to the holes because the mobility of the electrons is more compared to the holes. If electric field is 10,000 volt per centimeter, if electric field is more than 10,000 volt per centimeter is applied, then energy imparted or supplied by electric field is transferred to the lattice as heat. Due to this, thermal energy of carriers increases. This is called hot carrier effect. That means carriers are heated. When velocity of carriers becomes constant, drift current and hence drift current also becomes constant. So when velocity of carriers becomes constant, drift current density also constant. Why? Because here we can write the drift current density J equals to rho v into B. Rho v is the volume charge density, it is constant. So when velocity is constant, rho v constant, then drift current density also constant. Why? Because Jd equals to rho v into V. So rho v is the volume charge density, it is always constant. So that Jd is directly proportional to the velocity of the carriers. So when velocity of the carrier is constant, the drift current density is also constant. Hall effect. When a current carrying semiconductor bar in transverse magnetic pin B, then induced electric field E is perpendicular to both applied magnetic field and current carrying direction. Let's consider a semiconductor bar carrying current in positive x direction and placed in magnetic field in positive z direction. So we consider the semiconductor bar, in this current is flowing in the positive x direction, and the magnetic field direction is positive z direction. So when the current is flowing in the positive s direction, the direction of the hole traveling is also in positive x direction. The direction of the electron traveling in opposite to the conventional current direction, it is nothing but negative x direction. So electrons are flowing in the negative x direction and the holes are flowing in the positive x direction. The direction of the magnetic field in positive z direction. The conduction is due to electrons in n-type material. So here we are assuming the conduction is due to electrons in n-type material, because we are assuming here it is an n-type material. If it is an n-type material, the conduction due to only electrons, then electron experience the Lorentz force. So when we are keeping the any charge in the magnetic field, when we are keeping the any charge in the magnetic field, that electron or the charge will experience the force due to that magnetic field. That force is called Lorentz force. So here electrons are that semiconductor bar is placed in the n-type semiconductor bar is placed in the, if the n-type semiconductor bar is placed in the magnetic field B, then the electrons present in the n-type material experience the magnetic force B. That force is called Lorentz force. That force is always perpendicular to the direction of the force is always perpendicular to the velocity of the electrons and magnetic field direction. That Lorentz force is given as Fm is equals to E into V cross B. So the magnetic force or Lorentz force is the vector quantity Fm bar. We mentioned it is equals to E into V bar plus B bar. So E is the charge of the electron. Here V bar is the velocity of the electrons cross product with direction of the magnetic field. So from this we can observe the velocity of the electron is present in negative x direction. Negative x direction, and the direction of the magnetic field is in positive z direction. Since electron velocity is in negative x direction, the vector product of, that means the vector product of V bar cross B bar, it is nothing but minus AX bar cross AZ bar, that means X cross Z vector product. So the resultant will be positive y direction, but the electrons have the negative charge, therefore Lorentz force, total Lorentz force E into V bar cross B bar will be in the negative y direction. So when we are assuming the n-type semiconductor, so we can identify the conduction due to the only electrons. So now it is placed in the magnetic field B. So the electrons in the n-type material will experience the magnetic force or Lorentz force. The force direction is in the negative y direction, that means downwards. So here I will go back. Yeah, so upwards is positive y direction and downwards is negative y direction. So the Lorentz force negative y direction as the force acting on electrons direction is negative y direction. So it is downwards. Due to that Lorentz force, electron bend down. So when force is acting downwards, the electrons will bend down and that electrons will touch the surface 2. So I am considering the surface 2 is nothing but downside of the semiconductor. So that electrons will touches the surface 2. As a result, surface 2 becomes the more negative. Yes, so surface 2 becomes more negatively charged and relatively surface 1. Compared to the surface 1, surface 2 is more negative and surface 1 becomes more positive. Hence, an electric field develops in negative y direction. So, the electric field is developed in negative y direction. Why? Because the holes are moving upwards, surface 1, and electrons are moving downwards, surface 2. That induced electric field direction will be positive to negative, that means negative y direction, which is called Hall electric field or induced electric field. A potential difference also appear between two surfaces. Why? Because the surface 2 is more negative and surface 1 is more positive. So a potential difference may present due to the charge present in the two surfaces. So the potential difference between that surface 1 and 2 is called Hall voltage. This is, we are assuming if it is p type. In previous we assumed it is n type. If it is p type, if the conduction due to only holes, then hole velocity will be in positive x direction. Why? Because so the current direction, the conventional current direction is in positive x direction. So the holes are also moving in the positive x direction. The velocity of the holes will be in positive x direction. Therefore, v bar cross b, that means x into b, x into z, a bar x into a bar z is in minus y, and also Lorentz force A into V bar cross B bar will be in downwards direction. So the resultant or total Lorentz force, the direction is in the negative y direction. The force acting on, the magnetic force acting on holes will be negative y direction. Hence holes bend down. Again, that holes will be touches the surface 2. Due to this, surface 2 becomes the more positive with respect to surface 1. As surface 2 becomes more positive. Why? Because the holes are moved towards the, are bent towards to the surface 2, and surface 1 is relatively negative, because when holes are moving down, electrons will move upwards. As then induced electric field or Hall electric field direction is positive y direction. Why? Because now holes present at the downwards or negative y direction. So electrons are at the positive y direction. So the direction of the induced electric field or Hall electric field is in positive y direction. When all electric field becomes sufficiently strong, it results in an additional force on carriers. In equilibrium condition, force due to Hall electric field will balance the Lorentz force, and then the downward movement of carriers will stop. Hall electric field Hall voltage can be calculated by using the condition of equilibrium. Now, force due to the Hall field or Hall electric field. So it can be written as induced electric field EH into E. Force due to the magnetic field can be written as B into V into E. Here we are considering only magnitude. So force induced electric field is EH, E suffix H, and E is the charge of the electron or carrier. Yes. So force due to the Hall electric field is written as EH into E. It is nothing but Coulomb's law, E into Q from physics. So force due to the magnetic field, we are writing B into V into E. It is only magnitude. So both sides we are having the charge E. E will be cancelled. Now we can write EH. So induced Hall electric field EH equals to B into B. So EH, E suffix H is nothing but induced Hall electric field, and B is the magnetic field, and V is the velocity of the carriers. This is equation number 1. So we can write the EH equals to V by D. So we can write E equals to V by D. Basically, electric field equals to voltage per distance. So EH equals to VH by D. So induced electric field can be written as Hall voltage by distance D. So here we know current density J equals to rho v into v velocity. From that velocity v can be written as J by rho v. Rho v is the volume charge density. So J is nothing but current density. So it can be written as current per area. So J can be written as I by A and it is rho v. I by rho v into A equals to I by rho v. A is nothing but width into depth. Now we can write W into D. Now equation 1 becomes, so we are substituting this velocity v value I by rho v into W into D, then equation 1 becomes Vh by D equals 2. That means induced electric field Vh by D equals to B into I by rho v into W into D. So here D and D both sides cancel. Now Vh. So hall voltage Vh is equals to B into I by rho v into W. So Vh equals to B into I. B is nothing but magnetic field B. I is nothing but current flowing in the semiconductor bar, and rho v is the volume charge density and W is the width of the semiconductor bar. And Vh equals to, we can write 1 by Vh equals to, we can write 1 by rho v. So 1 by rho v equals to RH into RH and RH into B into I by W. It is equals to RH into B into I into D by A. Yes, and where RH is the 1 by rho v, it is nothing but Hall coefficient, and rho v is the volume charge density. We know it is equals to total number of charge carriers into charge. It is nothing but N into E. So in metals, that N is very large, total number of charge carriers is very large, therefore RH will be very small. Why? Because so when total number of charge carriers are more, that volume charge density rho v is more. So when volume charge density is more, it is inversion of the, it is inversion of the Hall coefficient. So then Hall coefficient RH will be very small in the metals, and therefore we can say Hall coefficient is very small. That is nothing but Hall effect is very weaker in the metals. Applications of Hall effect. That means what is the application of the Hall effect? So it is used to find the type of semiconductor bar. So this basically Hall effect is generally is applicable for only metals and semiconductors. So it is used to find the type of semiconductor. That means either it is a n-type material or p-type material. So if the voltage measured at surface 2 with respect to surface 1 is negative, that means Hall voltage is negative, then it indicates the n-type material. If it is positive, Hall voltage is positive, that is indicating the p-type semiconductor. So concentration of majority carriers are calculated. So we know the Hall coefficient RH equals to 1 by rho v equals to Ne. So we can write RH equals to Ne. So we can calculate the majority of the charge carriers by using the Hall effect. So RH equals to Ne, we can write N equals to charge carriers, majority of charge carriers, it is equals to 1 by E into RH. And mobility of the majority carriers can be calculated by using this Hall effect. So we know the conductivity of the material is equals to Ne mu n. So mu n equals Ne mu n. We know Ne equals to 1 by RH. From that we can write sigma equals conductivity of the material can be equals to mu n by RH. So when we know the sigma conductivity of the material and Hall coefficient, from that we can calculate the mobility of the majority of the carriers. So what are the applications of Hall effect? We are having the three applications. One is, so we can find whether it is a what type of semiconductor, either it is n type or p type, based on the Hall voltage. If Hall voltage is negative, then it is n type semiconductor. If Hall voltage is positive, then it is p type semiconductor. And second one, concentration of majority of carriers by using the Hall coefficient. Why? Because RH equals to Ne, so N equals to 1 by E into RH. When we know the Hall coefficient, from that we can calculate the concentration of the majority of the carriers. And third one, mobility of the majority of the carriers. From the equation of conductivity, sigma equals to Ne into mu n. So Ne equals to 1 by RH. So we can write sigma equals to mu n by RH. From that, when we know the conductivity and Hall coefficient, we can calculate the mobility of the majority of the charge carriers by coefficient. Next, expression for Hall coefficient if conduction due to both free electrons and holes. So, Lorentz force will be in the downwards direction on free electrons and holes. From the previous discussion, so Lorentz force either it is on electrons or holes, it is always downward direction. That means negative y direction. Since electrons will travel at greater velocity, Lorentz force will be greater on electrons. Why? Because the mobility of the electrons is more compared to the holes. That means the velocity of the electrons is more compared to the holes. So the Lorentz force will be more effect on electrons compared to the holes. So number of electrons touches surface to will be greater than the holes. So when we are having the electrons and holes present in this material, then the force acting on the Lorentz force acting on electrons will be more because of mobility of the electrons is more and velocity of the electrons is more. So the number of electrons touching surface 2 will be greater than number of holes. Hence, surface 2 becomes more negatively charged. Hall electric field develops in negative y direction or downward direction. So this statement is applicable when electrons or holes concentration is equal. This we can write F equals to E into E. So E is the electric field and E is the charge of the electron. It is from the Coulomb's law. So we can write electric field E equals to V by mu. So from the drift velocity formula, Vd equals to, we have written Vd equals to mu into electric field. So from that we have written electric field equals to velocity by mu. From that velocity can be written equals to V equals to F into mu by E. Consider a semiconductor sample in which hole concentration is greater than the electron concentration. So we consider the semiconductor sample. Here hole concentration is more compared to the electron concentration. That means it is a p type. Then surface 2 becomes positively charged and Hall electric field is in positive y direction. The net force acting on holes in y direction will be sum of force acting due to induced electric field and force due to Lorentz force. So now we are calculating the net force acting on holes. It is Fpy, can be written as small e into Ey. This Ey is the induced electric field. This induced electric field is in positive y direction and Lorentz force acting on electron can be written as minus Bz Vpx. So from this we can write Fpy equals to the force acting on hole equals to E into Vpy mu p. So this is written from the above equation E into V by mu, but we are writing the force acting on holes. That's why we mention suffix p and it is in y direction. So we have written p into y. So here p, it is suffix p indicates the type of holes. That means majority of carriers are holes and it is acting in y direction. So E Vpy by mu p, it is mobility of holes, equals to small e into Ey minus Bz into Vpx. So here Ey is the induced Hall voltage and Bz is the transverse magnetic field. So where we kept the our sample, and Vpx is the drift velocity or velocity of the holes and x is in positive x direction. Clear? Vpx is the velocity of the holes in positive x direction. Vpx. P is nothing but holes or p material. X is the direction of the velocity. From this we can write Vpy equals to Vpy equals to mu p into Ey minus Bz Vpx. This is for 2. So similarly we can write net force acting on electrons in y direction is Fny. Here Fny is given as E into Ey plus Bz Enx. So it is also similar to the net force acting on holes. So here Ey is the induced Hall electric field, and Bz is the transverse magnetic field, and Vnx is the velocity of the electrons in x direction. So here it is plus, Lorentz force is plus. So from this, similar to previous one, we have written V and y equals to mu n into E Ey plus Bz E Vnx. It is equation number 3. As no current flows in y direction, net current density in y direction should be 0. Why? Because Jpy plus Jny equals to 0. So by writing the Jpy and Jny, that means there is no current flowing in the y direction. So Jp, current density of holes in y direction, it is equals to P into V suffix Py plus current density due to electrons in y direction, it is NeVpy equals to 0. So PeVpy equals to minus NeVpy. Here it is E will be cancelled. Now we can write from equation 2 and 3 by substituting Vny and Vpy. So we can write P mu P into Ey minus Bz Vpx equals to minus n mu n into Ey plus Bz Vnx. So by separating the variables Ey and Bz, we can write Ey into P mu P plus n mu n equals to Bz into P mu P Vpx minus n mu n Vnx. So we can write Ey equals to pu mu p n mu n equals to Bz into pu mu p square Ex. So we replaced the Vpx. It is velocity. So velocity equals to mu into Ex. So here mu p into mu p equals to mu p square. So p mu p square Ex minus n mu n square Ex. Similarly here Vnx is replaced with mu n into Ex. Yes. So the velocity, drift velocity Bnx equals to mu n into Ex. So mu n into mu n square. So where Ex is the applied electric field in x direction. Why? Because we are considering electrons are moving in the negative x direction and holes are moving in the positive x direction. The current density is in positive x direction. So applied electric field direction Ex also in positive x direction. From that we can write Ey into P mu P plus n mu n equals to Bz Ex. We are taking the common as Bz Ex into P mu P square minus n mu n square. From this we can write Ey equals to P mu P Ey into P mu P plus n mu n equals to Bz. Ex equals to, again we have written J equals to sigma E. J equals to sigma E. So E equals to J by sigma. So that Ex is replaced with the current density in x direction by P mu P plus n mu n into E. So here you may confuse. So how I replaced Ex, electric field, applied electric field, with Jx by P mu P plus n mu n into E. So we know the point form of Ohm's law, J equals to sigma. In previous classes we discussed J equals to sigma E. Sigma equals to n mu n plus pu mu p into E only. So that E equals to J by sigma, that is written here, into P mu p square minus n mu n square. So here Ey into P mu p plus n mu n whole square equals to Bz Zx into P mu p square minus n mu n square. From this we can write Ey by Bz Zx, Ey by Bz Jx equals to Rh. This is Hall coefficient. From the derivations of Hall effect, we have written Rh. It is equals to P mu p square minus n mu n square by E P mu p plus n mu n whole square. So from that we have written R coefficient Rh equals to, this is formula, final formula, Rh equals to P mu p square minus n mu n square by E into P mu p plus n mu n whole square. So when conduction is due to electrons and holes in the material, the Hall coefficient is mentioned here. In first case, we consider the intrinsic semiconductor. So we derive the Hall coefficient when electrons and holes conduction present in the material. Now electron and hole concentration is same, then it is intrinsic semiconductor material. Then we can write N equals to P equals to Na. So by substituting the N equals to P equals to Na value in this previous equation, RH equals to Ni into mu p square minus mu n square by E Na square into mu p plus mu n. So from this we can write, that means mu p square minus mu n square can be written as mu p plus mu n into mu p minus mu n. As from this we can write Na cancel. So here we mention RH value. So this is intrinsic semiconductor Hall coefficient. So and we know the mobility of the electrons is more compared to the holes. So when you are considering this one, RH value is negative in the intrinsic semiconductor. So when R coefficient is negative for the intrinsic semiconductor. In case 2, we are considering the n-type semiconductor, so n is greater than the p. Yes, so here we are neglecting the p. So when you are neglecting the p, the approximate value of the Hall coefficient RH equals to minus n mu n square by E n square mu n square. So from that we can write n cancel. It is written as mu n square also cancel. It is written as minus 1 by ne. So here also RH value is negative. So Hall coefficient is negative for intrinsic and n-type semiconductor. P-type semiconductor. Here the majority of the carriers are holes. By neglecting the n term, RH can be written as p mu p square by EP square mu p square. So mu p square will be cancelled. Here RH equals to 1 by PE. So RH value is positive for the P-type semiconductor. So intrinsic semiconductor, n-type semiconductor having RH equals to negative, and P-type semiconductor having the RH equals to positive. What about in metals? So in this we don't have any holes. We are having the only free electrons. So here hole concentration equals to 0. So P equals to 0. When I consider the P equals to 0, it is nothing but similar to your n-type material only. So RH equals to minus 1 by Ne. Again RH will be negative. So Hall coefficient is only positive for the p-type semiconductor. For other remaining, either it is n-type or intrinsic or metals, RH value is negative. If VH voltage is at surface 2 with respect to surface 1, then VH is positive in p-type semiconductor. VH is negative for metals, n-type and intrinsic semiconductors. So when Hall voltage or Hall coefficient is positive, then we can say that semiconductor is p-type. If it is negative, then that may be metal or n-type or intrinsic. Hall angle, it's the ratio of Hall electric field, that means induced electric field, to the applied electric field. So we are observed in the previous discussions, the induced electric field or Hall electric field is in the y direction and applied electric field in the x direction. Why? Because the holes are moving in the positive x direction. It is nothing but conventional current direction. It is nothing but applied electric field in the x direction. So the Hall angle theta h equals to induced electric field Ey by Ex. So we know Ey equals to Bv and Ex equals to J by sigma, current density by conductivity. From that we can write Bv sigma by J. It is also written as Bv sigma by J equals to rho b into V. So theta h can be written as 1 by rho b equals to, we know, RH. So theta h equals to RH into B sigma. It is nothing but Hall angle. So here I mentioned a problem. Calculate the Hall coefficient for intrinsic sample of silicon having Ni 1.5 into 10 power 10 per centimeter square, mu p equals to 500 and mu n equals to 1250 centimeter square per volt second. From this values, you can calculate the Hall coefficient. So from the above discussions you can solve this problem, and thank you.